So what's the difference between a hip extension and a back extension? Well, it turns out it's pretty simple. It comes down to which body part is actively moving. Let me explain. So in a hip extension, you set up with your hips free of the pad. Keeping your hips free of the pad allows you to focus on hinging at the hips. And then you just continue to open and close, as the name suggests, from the hips. Your spine remains neutral, and there's no need to overextend or hyperextend at the top. The number one mistake that I see in this is the pad setup in the beginning. So a pro tip in the hip extension is to make sure that the pad is far enough back so that way when you're at the bottom position, your back remains flat. In a back extension, you could set up with your hips on top of the pad. So as the name suggests, the back will be the primary mover in a back extension. So keeping the hips on top of the pad helps to prevent you from hinging at the hip. Instead, the back will initiate the movement. The goal is to slowly round, step by step, each vertebrae individually while maintaining control. The movement then returns in the opposite direction. If you're familiar with the Jefferson curl, this is very similar. Once you're comfortable with the hip extension and the back extension, you can try the hip and back extension. So as the name suggests, both the hip and the back move in this movement, so you're going to want to set up with your hips free of the pad to allow the hips to move. Your chin will initiate the movement by tucking to flex the spine. Flex the trunk and then the hips. At the bottom, you momentarily reset your spinal position and then return, extending the hips and then the trunk. This movement's entirely about control and body awareness, so it's done for quality, not for time. So personally, I would not be throwing this into any Metcon workouts. At the end of the day, all three of these movements are fantastic exercises to train and target your abdominals, spinal erectors, glutes, and hamstrings, and just overall build a killer backside and strong core.